All right, Rob. I read somewhere that at 18 years old you were in Thailand training Muay Thai. How does that happen?
Oh man. So I started out going to a gym. I was still in high school at the time. I was going to a gym with my buddy. I lived on my own. I lived with my friends. I ended up moving back from Alaska.
Okay.
Um, Moving back from Alaska, I realized my mom didn't have a place to live, so she was couch surfing, and she was a nurse. She took care of mentally disabled people on the weekends, and she could live there. She could stay at the place, but
Hmm.
she wasn't because she had me. So I have a bunch of sisters and brothers. So we couch surfed there for a while, and then I realized like, hey, dude, I'm more of a burden to my mom than you know what I mean. Like she can figure it out. I'll figure it out. And I was
Right.
14. Ended up staying at one of my buddy's houses. His sister was dating Tito Ortiz, which was super random. So he's in high school, I'm in high school. He's a little bit older than I was, but we met and I was like, "What's up, dude?" And he's like, "What's up, dude?" And my buddy, who was letting me stay at his house, was like, "Yeah, Rob used to wrestle, and he wrestled." So Tito goes, "Hey, dude, I'm trying to put together this wrestling team for like the LA Games or something like that."
Hmm.
And my buddy, while he's telling him, tries to take me down in his living room. Well, I could wrestle, so we ended up in a scramble on the carpet, and I stuffed my buddy's tape down, and we're going at it. And Tito goes, "Right, dude, you got hips, man, you got hips." And right there, I was like, "All right, dude, that's it." Like that was my validation. I was like, "Okay." So, I mean, fast forward, I ended up working out at LA Boxing with my buddy. We lifted weights, and I took a bad class. And the guy's like, "Hey, kid, you got a good kick." And I was like, I'm gonna be world champ, dude. I'm not fucking letting this go." And mind you, I'm a kid, so no one tells me I can't. So UFC has just come out. The dudes are all huge and juiced out. Chemo
Hmm.
Leopold at one point lived down the street from me,
Okay.
which was kind of funny. Um, I'm training at LA Boxing, and then I end up fucking the guy. I go to take a class, and the guy who's teaching a boxing class, my hands are wrapped. He goes, "Hey,
Hmm.
bro, this is my third class in a row," and he was living at the gym. He goes, why don't you teach this class?" And I go, "I was gonna take the class, bro." And he gives me $20. Mind you, I live at my friend's house, so I go, "I'll take $20." I turn around, I'm like, "All right, let's go jumping jacks." And that's how I started teaching, and it was like a
Wow.
kickboxing like bad class, right? It was like a conditioning class. It was mostly chicks. Um, you fast forward, I'm training with dudes here and there, and when I say sparring, it's like we're just trying to tee off on each other. We don't really know what we're
Hmm.
doing. I have a coach. Um, I start getting some fights. Right, this guy goes, "Hey, dude, you want to fight?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "All right." So he gets me one smoker fight with headgear and shin pads, and I win on a decision against this guy in a church in La Puente. It's John
Sure.
McVale. John McVale was the guy's name. He passed away, but he had a church and he used to bring fighters and have shows. Great dude. And this was like 1996. So the guy who gets me the smoker fight goes, "Hey, dude, you did well. You want to fight? What did you think?" I go, "Yeah, it was cool." He goes, "All right, keep training. I get you another fight." And I go, "Okay." So literally, my next fight was in Vegas. I was at the Four
Wow.
Queens, and I fought some guy from Master Toddy's, which is like
Hmm.
a really well known Muay Thai fighter and coach. Fought the dude, and I can knock the guy out. And I got $100 and a hotel room in Vegas, and I'm like, "I'm rich." I was like, "This is awesome." And I got like this. I got a big old trophy. And the guy goes, "Bro, that was rad. Like, what'd you think?" I go, "That was a lot of fun." He's like, "You want to do it again?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Keep training." So I was like, yeah, "Okay." Mind you, I'm living at my friend's house and I'm teaching classes at the gym.
Right.
So I have to, and any gear I need, I have to buy the gear, right? Gloves, wraps, whatever. Um, I have a couple more fights. I win them. And this guy at the gym, I walk in, the same guy who said, "Hey, you want to teach my boxing class?" I come in the morning to open the gym. He looks at me, he looks like he's been up all night. His name was Shane Hicks. And he goes, "Hey, Razor Rob." And he throws me a box. And I have a fight coming. So I grab the box, I open the box. It's a pair of black and green tie shorts. It says Razor embroidered on the front. And he goes,
Nice.
"Hey, my boy Mike, Mike Nolte, who I still talk to this day, he goes, you got a company called Muay Thai Products. Hit him up. He'll probably sponsor you." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. Thanks, bro." So I
Hmm.
meet up with Mike. He saw me fight a couple times. He gives me gear for free. He sets up a photo shoot, and he goes, "Man, you gotta like go to Thailand." And I'm like, "Why would I go to Thailand, bro?" I live at my friend's house, bro. I make
Yeah.
$20 a bad class. I'm not going on any vacations anytime soon. And he goes, "Bro, you could do some stuff. Like, I've seen you fight." I'm like, So he sponsors me to go to Thailand, and we go there for over a month, and he left about halfway through the trip. So it was really fun. It was really interesting. It was definitely an eye opener experience, right? Being being 18 years old, walking in,
Yeah.
getting out of the airport in Bangkok, and just going, whoa, all right, cool.
Yeah. I
But I
can't
mean,
imagine that, man.
I met a lot of really good people. I brought back a guy that trained with me, Manu Anto, who's my Muay Thai coach. I mean, he's a legend, and he was a champion over there in Muay Thai in Thailand. So it
Hmm.
was being able to train with that guy when we brought him back here and had him train and got him fights. And then just we were at Sijitong, and then I trained at a couple other gyms. Trained with some younger kids too. It was like the M150 gym, I think is what it's called. But it was just watching, like, I didn't really get the clinch at the time, neck grappling. So training with like these, watching them, and then training with like the younger kids, and then going, oh, okay, cool. Oh, this is how you neck grapple. Oh, okay, cool. And then going back to the Sijitong where like the pros were at, and then going, oh, okay, now I can put it together with guys my size. It helped me like digest it a lot quicker, I think. And when I came back, it was like, okay, I went on a 2 year, like I didn't lose a fight in 2 years. I was nonstop. So it was a lot of fun
Wow.
and definitely beneficial.
Yeah, I can't imagine 18 years old in Thailand. You got your first WEC win at WEC 2 against Jesse Heck. Talk a little bit about that fight and why you didn't stay with the WEC after that.
I was already fighting in Muay Thai and kickboxing, anything that I, hey, if I can punch and kick you, let's do it. And then I was training with all my buddies who were like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I was training with Tito. Tito came back around to my gym. He had just fought in UFC. So I was like, bro.
Hmm.
And he said to me, dude, I got to get that stand-up stuff. Like, I'm watching your stand-up. He's like, I got to get that down better. And I'm like, bro, come take my class. We'll all train together, dude. I'll tee off on you. You just can't take me down. And we started training together. I had like this 5 mile run I did in the sand at night. So he started coming with me to do that. Dudes started coming in from all around the country, and then they're all around the world to train with them. Well, when they did that, they'd usually bring their training partners, and there'd always be some guy my size too. So I fast forwarded quickly, which was awesome. To like that, they didn't call it MMA at the time; they called it no holds barred.
Yep.
So and I was just doing that for fun. I was getting paid to fight Muay Thai, but I liked the fact. The one thing I liked is going into the gym, and you would realize there's like this corner of grapplers that were over there with V pads on, and they're smiling, smirking at you. Their ears are all messed up, and they're thinking, "I'll beat the shit out of those guys over there." And you got the guys over in the corner think they're Rico Suave, the striker guys, and they're like
Hmm.
fucking dirty little grappler guys. I'll knock those dudes out. And I always wanted to be like, I want to be able to hang with both these crews and be like, I'll beat the shit out of anybody anyway. So to me, it was like I wanted to keep learning how to do that. And so I try to go with both. And I was
Hmm.
getting beat up by the grappler dudes because
Yep.
I had hips. But like when you're going against Division I dudes and guys are like in the Olympics, it's completely
It's
different
different than
story.
sixth grade.
Oh, bro, yeah. And then I got to a point where I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this out. And I like literally put a gi on with a white belt and was taking classes, and people were like, isn't that guy the Muay Thai coach? And then like you see like high school kids like looking at each other and like, hey, I'll go with him next, and they're just getting choking me. So it was humbling, but it was a learning curve that I don't think a lot of guys did because they were too cocky, too proud. But I just wanted to get good at it because I was like, all right, if I
Right.
can use it, I'm gonna try it. So I ended up getting a fight in WEC. I drove up there. It was like a 4 hour drive from where I live. I had to cut weight while I was doing it. My buddy drove the car, and I fell asleep with plastics on in the back of the car, and he had the heater on. He got lost. So I
Oh
cut too
no.
much weight. And when I got there, it was the middle of the night, and the guy Scott Adams and God, Reed Harris, and Reed's still with the UFC. Scott was like, "Hey, bro," I get there. He's like, "Hey, we kind of have an issue," and I go, "Yeah, I just need to get this weight off. I got to get the plastics off." And I get on the scale. I was like a pound and under. I was like, "Oh God, I cut too much weight." He goes, "The guy you're originally supposed to fight, it was a tough dude. I think he was from like Utah or Arizona. He was like a purple belt. He had a couple fights. He was a tough dude." He
Hmm.
said, we didn't see each other at the weigh-in. So he weighed in, and they said, yeah, okay, you're fighting this guy. And he goes, I thought I was fighting some kickboxer guy. And they said, yeah, you are. And he goes, I have that Razor Rob guy's DVD set. I'm not fighting that guy because I had already put out a DVD instructional set. So he pulled out. He pulled out of the fight. So I ended up getting the Jesse Heck guy because he was a last minute replacement, and he was like, I'll fight. So Scott was like, hey dude, you got this kid. He's gonna be, this is his first MMA fight, I think, dude. And I'm like, okay. Well, mind you, I had a bunch of Muay Thai fights. So I was like, all right, cool. He's like, try working on your submission skills. And I'm thinking, yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay, if I can. And then as soon as I stepped in the cage, the dude was like looking at me and trying to give me a scary look and flexing. I'm like, I'm fucking killing this guy. and I didn't mean to, but like we got into exchange and I hit him and I kicked him in the head and I fell over and I punched him in the face and they're like, that's it. And I was like, all right. And it was the most money I'd ever gotten paid. It was like $8,000. And I'm all,
Oh yeah.
hold on. I'm like, hold on. And I fought in K1 and it was like the pinnacle of kickboxing at the time. And I got $6,000. And I was like, all right, I love stand up. And that's my thing. I love punching and kicking. But I read that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I wanted to buy a house in Huntington Beach, which is it's expensive, right? It's expensive to buy a house anywhere. It's really expensive to buy a house in Southern California. And nobody in my family owns homes, right? Mind you, I'm like living on my friends' couches. So I'm like, all right, seems like a far-fetched financial goal. But I was like, all right, I can do this. So it was trying to think of like, I want to stay doing stand-up, but I also want to make some money. So it wasn't really a matter of like, I want to do this for money. It was a matter of like, how can I make my money make money for me? And I was making money on ticket sales and I could sell tickets, and I was making money coaching, teaching classes and doing privates. And then the gravy money was me fighting. So I made a plan. I was going to buy a house, had a couple more MMA fights, went through a manager or two. Team Punishment, which was Tito and all of us, it grew. And then everybody started becoming champions because it was Tito and Chuck Liddell who trained together. It was Tito and Randy Couture who trained together. It was Rampage and Tito. We all trained together. They all came to us, and then they all started fighting each other. And then they all started opening their own gyms. And so I was like, hey, and then I started realizing I didn't have all the fucking high level training partners anymore because now they're all opening their own gyms.
Right.
Because everybody was coming to train with Tito. So that was one thing that kind of started to limit it. But I was like, all right, I reconnected with my old Muay Thai coach when I was like, I trained with him when I was like 19. And he was like, hey, man, he was back in the country. He was from France. And so I go, cool, dude. Like, I'm fighting in the cage, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, I don't watch that stuff. I'm just doing Muay Thai. And I go, I know, I got you. I got the wrestling part down in the jiu-jitsu. I just want to, sharpen up on the Thai pads. And so him and I got after it, and I knocked out what was his name, Olaf Alfonso, and WEC. I forget which one it was. And that one was like a game changer after that because I broke the dude's jaw. And after that, everyone's like, who's that dude? Because if you watch that fight, it was like a highlight reel finish. And I posted it on my MySpace, which was nice. As much as I want to like clown on all these Jake Paul and all these influencer people, that boosted my career because the internet and social media, it was so new that I made fun of everybody at my gym, but they were all pulling chicks, and I'm like, what? And one of the guys made me one, and I was like, what? Dude, that's lame. And then I sat at home one day after practice, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I posted some pictures. Well, on MySpace, everybody was learning coding, and they were learning. There was a platform for musicians. Right. And then it turned into like people, trying to hook up with chicks and do all kinds of shit, promote parties. But it was a platform for musicians. So what happens, people kept getting my highlight reels, making them for me because I was fighting and they're starting to get on TV or, on video. And they were putting their music to it and then reposting it. So every morning I'd wake up and I would get all these highlight reels. And I'm like, oh, so I'd pick through, oh, that's a cool one. And then I'd post it. Well, like the traction of that got people to go from, hey, dude, I'd love to get you to wear my t-shirt. So all of a sudden I got all these t-shirt sponsors. And I'm like, hey, dude, I got a lot of shirts. How about some money? And then it was like $500 for it. I just started doing this in my head. I'm like, all right, if I'm going to sell space on my shirt and on my shorts, I'm going to say, hey, it's $500 for 6 inches, right? It's $1,000 for 12, so on. If you want the walkout gear, if you want the shorts. And then no one told me how to do that. I just figured, hey, it's on TV. Right. If I'm on TV, that's expensive. And I've done this twice now for the USC Marshall School of Business. They talked about opening a new business and a new industry segment. And I spoke about this specifically because they're like, how did you know how to do it? It's like, bro, I just figured, hey, I needed money. People wanted to get their name out there. This was going to be on TV. And I knew I was going to have an exciting fight, win or lose. I'm going to try to kill somebody. So, people, it worked. And then I used that platform, MySpace and social media, to promote it, and people kept, it just kind of like snowballed. So that definitely helped. Violently ending fights too also helped, because people were like, dude, what did you take? What was it? I said, well, I was literally trying to kill people because I know what it felt like to literally be hungry, and I was hungry. So that definitely was the turning point of getting into MMA and trying to get this thing to get some wheels.
Gotcha. Tell me about the experience of winning the belt against Kit Code.
Oh man, I knew Kit. Kit was a world champion kickboxer. We were in the same circuit. We were in the same weight class at one point, and then he bumped up. I was fighting at and when I was doing stand up, I started at 145. So I was fighting I think it was welterweight in Muay Thai,
Mm-hmm.
and then I fought at 154 was the heaviest I fought. 152 as super welterweight, and then he went up. Kit was fighting at 185, so he was huge all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were both fighting on the circuit. We never fought each other stand up, but I knew who he was. He started trying to kind of train with with Tito and Team Punishment, but he lived in Vegas, so I never trained with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew who he was. And then I was like, hey, this is going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be a stand-up fight, but I'm training with a bunch of wrestlers. I'm training with Tito. He's a ground and pound expert, dude who came up with this stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to run this. I'm going to stand up with this dude, and I'm going to run him into the fence. And I'm going to rip his legs out and beat him down. And that's literally, if you watch the fight, this is exactly what I did. But I knew that he was tough, and I knew that at the range, he was long. He punched, he kicked, he threw knees, he threw elbows. So I had to take him down to maximize my efficiency and winning. So that's, if you watch that fight, that's exactly what happened. And so to me, it was like, hey, that was a sign to me that I was a well-rounded martial artist. I wasn't just the stand-up guy anymore. I was the guy that hey, he just took that dude down. So It was, not only did I get an awesome shiny belt and extra pay, but I also got, to me, that was the defining moment of I should be here. It's not just, I'm not just a stand-up guy beating up guys who can't stand up.
Right on. You defended your belt against Richard Crunkleton. Does winning the belt feel different than defending it?
Winning the belt was awesome, and the fair, that when you win the belt, because before that, you're right, you're just the guy trying to get the belt. Everyone's trying to get the belt. Everyone wants to be the champ. You win, and all of a sudden you're the champ. And then it's like a different mindset shift of hey, dude, now all your friends and everybody wants to fight you because they want what you have. And so it's almost harder now because you've got to be conscious of everyone's looking at you. It's you got to set the tone. You can't be stagnant. And if you are, you're going to lose that belt.
Right.
So Kit, I knew, was a stand-up dude. And I had heard he had wrestled in high school, and I wasn't really threatened by any of his grappling. However, when I rewatched the fight with Kit and he did extensive jujitsu. Dude, he was close to trying to get stuff, but he was trying to go plot on me and stuff. And it made me think at one point, he went for a heel hook, and I defended it the way you're supposed to defend it. And I remember about halfway through that, Kit trying to get the heel hook, I went, fuck this guy's jujitsu. And I turned back and I tore my own knee. So in that fight, I tore my meniscus. So when I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, fuck, my knee hurts. So that put me on the shelf for a minute, which sucked. But I got right back into training. And then they said, hey, you're going to fight Rich Crunkleton. I was very familiar with Rich. He was a stud. I think he was 17-0, but when I fought him, really well-versed in grappling and striking. And he was tough. I think he trained at ATT in Florida. So I was like, oh, fuck. I'll be honest, I was nervous. The dude's a stud. So I did some homework. I watched a lot of film, and he would come out and he'd throw a lazy head kick, and then he'd let you to defend it or counter, and he'd shoot. So I was like, okay, if he does that to me, I'm going to be prepared. And he literally did that. He walked out, kind of, threw a head kick and went to try to shoot. And I chased him with the right hand. I tagged him. And then I was just like, honestly, if you watch it, I was trying to put him away as quick as possible because I knew the longer that fight was going to go, the more it would favor in him for grappling. So literally just trying to murder him. And if you watch that fight, it looks like I was parked in the red and I was trying to get to my car to move it. To me, that was like the nail in the coffin of like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to be here. I'm not just the stand-up guy who got
Right.
lucky to beat a kickboxer. Like this dude was a well-versed MMA guy. So that was to me extremely rewarding to defend that belt.
Awesome. Fast forward all the way to Dream 17. You took on another legend in Shinya Aoki. Did you know when you fought him that that would be your last fight?
You know, I didn't, but like the mindset of where I started, right? I started on a couch. I started couch
Hmm.
surfing. I went to the gym because all my other friends were like smoking weed and getting drunk, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that too. But like, don't you guys want to go to the fucking gym?
Right.
And then I was like, and then that like if shit ever went down, I was like, all right, I'll fight that guy. And my buddies weren't like that, and I was like, okay, I'm a little different. And I was like, don't you guys want to go get chicks? And they're like, yeah, no, dude. But after we'll go get beers. And I'm like, yeah, and then we'll go get chicks, right? I was like, fuck. So it to me it was like, I don't know. It was fuck. I forgot the question now because I sidelined myself.
I was. Did you know that Shinya would be your last fight?
Well, so fast forward, right? Going from couch surfing to now I've gotten married now. I've gotten married. I have kids. I have children. I own a home.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to do a loan modification on my house. My manager calls me. I get cut out of my WC contract early. And I'm like, fuck. Okay. And he goes, hey, dude, we'll get you more money on another stage. And I'm like, all right. Well, now I'm a fucking homeowner, dude. I got kids, right? The idea of like, I'm going to go in there and kill this guy is more of like, fuck, am I doing this for work? Am I doing this to pay a fucking bill? Right? I married like a chick who was fucking did porn, and I'm like, you're not going back to work, so that's all. I got this. So now I'm the full
Hmm.
breadwinner, and I'm like, okay. So the idea of cutting weight and flying to Japan, I was like, hey, dude, just so you know, then the Japanese are notorious for fucking stiffing people. I'm doing a loan modification. I have to have money in my bank account by the end of September. Otherwise, they're going to take my house. And my buddy goes, my manager, he goes, here's what I did. They're going to put they're going to put your show money into the bank. And then, upon you winning, you get the rest of it. And I said, all right, as long as that show money's in the bank before the end of September,
Hmm.
I'll fight, I'll train, I'll do the whole thing and I'll fight. And he goes, okay, cool. Cut weight, do the whole thing, get to camp, get to Tokyo. I fly in on right behind, God, what is it called? When it's a hurricane, but it's on an island.
Typhoon.
I flew in literally right behind a typhoon, so it kind of like nailed Tokyo. So we get there, it's already kind of a shambles, and they say you're not going to fight. And I go, what do you mean I'm not going to fight, dude? I fucking just cut weight and shit, and I
Yeah,
just
I
flew
am.
across the world. Yeah, well, and I'm like, okay, so it's a fucking game they play. So I'm sitting in this little shitty hotel room, and they're like, well, you'll come to this. You can come. We'll give you VIP seating. We'll try to get you another fight when we get back. And I'm like, I'm gonna lose my house, dude. Like, what the fuck? They didn't put any money. They didn't put the money in the bank. That's what it was. My manager goes, dude, didn't they put the money into the bank? I go, bro, if they don't put the money in the bank, they're gonna take my fucking house. I'm doing a loan modification. And it dawned on me right there. I no longer had control of my financial future. It was in the hands of other people. And when you have little kids and mouths to feed, it
Yeah.
was a very unsettling thing. And I saw, you always hear people say, oh, fight game, it's a dirty business. It was my first experience of like it being scummy and everybody trying to be like shit.
Hmm.
And I'm like, fuck these guys. So it really
Yeah.
put a bad taste in my mouth. I ended up going to the arena and they go, you're going to fight. So I'm like, oh, okay. It was my manager. It was my manager that was telling me that you're not going to fight. They didn't put the money in. Okay. You're going to fight. So it was a fucking game. So I get there, we fucking go through the whole thing. I walk out. He runs across, right? And I'm like, we get into a scramble and I'm like, fuck. And then he's in my guard and I'm like, this is the fucking last place I want to be right now. It's Shinya Aoki in my guard. And I watched like
Right.
all the tapes and he was notorious for being a dick and like breaking people's arms and spitting on him and shit.
Hmm.
So I was like, oh, this motherfucker. He got me. I thought it was more of like a choke, but it was a neck crank. It felt like he
Okay.
was going to pop my fucking head off. And afterwards, he was super respectful. And so I was like, oh, that's cool, dude. Like, he could have been a prick about it. But it put a shitty bad taste in my mouth. And the thing is, when I had like a couple weeks before that too, I went to my son. My son had a birthday party. There was a bunch of little kids. At the birthday party was a guy who had franchised LA boxing gyms, and that's where I started. And the guy was like, "What's up?" I go, "What's up, Anthony? How you doing, buddy?" And he goes, "Bro, I gotta ask. Every time I see you, you always shake my hand. You always remember my name." He goes, "And every time I see you, you're with like Tito or Rampage or one of your boys, and they always reintroduce themselves like they never met me." And I go, yeah, that sucks. I go, dude, those guys meet a lot of people, dude. They're fucking famous. And he's like, bro. And I go, hey, dude, he gives me his business card. And he goes, you got a great story. He's like, you started at LA Boxing, you became a world champion. He's like, we're looking for a director of instructor training. And I looked at him and I'm like, are you offering me a job, dude? And I started laughing and I go, bro, I make 6 figures and I beat up my friends. And he said something that didn't make any sense to me at the time. He goes, you can't do that forever, man. I was like, the fuck is this? I took it almost like a disrespectful, like, what?
Yeah.
It wasn't resonating. Like, hey, dude, this is a young man's sport. And I was like 33 when he said that. So, and then that was right before that fight. So my father-in-law at the time had heard about that, and he kept asking me about it. Hey, did you follow up with that? Did you follow? I was like, no. Finally, like after a year of it, I went and followed up. I went down, checked it out. They wanted me to sit in this office with no windows at a cubicle, and I was like, bro, I would rather slit my wrist than do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, hey, dude, I had fucking mouths to feed. And when you lose a fight, right, you got sponsors, and then, oh, we're rebudgeting. Well, we'll see next year. And I'm like, bro, I have bills that are now.
Yeah.
I have a mortgage now. I have little kids. So it was a defining moment of like, hey, I'm going to go try this corporate thing, and I'm going to try to do both. I'm going to try to fight, right? After 3 p.m., I'm going to train, and in the morning, I'm going to be at the office. And then it was like, I'm going to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. And that's not how I want to do this. So I'm just going to go all in on the corporate thing. So I stepped back and was like, hey, dude, yeah, I'm good for now. And I got the loan modification on my house, kept the house, got the rate down, which was good. Got down to like 3%. And this was like fucking long time ago. So it was unheard of. And then just went head first into education on National Academy of Sports Medicine. I'm a certified personal trainer, nutrition, mixed martial arts conditioning specialist. I went, hey, I'm a dad and I want to be like super coach for my kids. And to me, that was, I was getting paid to get educated. And then they said, hey, you're going to start traveling for this job. So I was like coast to coast. And it was like every other weekend. And then it was like three times a month. And then it was, hey, you're gonna start going international. And then I was in Dubai like on the weekend, and then I come back, and then I was in Chile, and it was a lot of fun. But I have little kids, and my whole thing is I always wanted to be a dad. I always wanted to be like the dad that I didn't have. And I was like, hey, dude, I can't do. Yeah, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not here. I'd rather just.
Right.
And so I have a gym with my best friend, HB Ultimate Training Center. We started in 2001, but I mean, you got partners, dude. You got to, getting all the slices to the pizza on it. You gotta split that up. And so I was like, hey, I need to make some more money. So when I was home, I would do privates, and I'd do that. I'd host seminars, and so the whole thing kind of just started. It was getting bigger, and then quarantine happened, and that just changed literally the whole world. But they let everybody go too. I ended up working for UFC gym. I was in Moscow, and they're like, hey, we're gonna you should come home. I came home, and they're like, hey, we're gonna furlough everyone. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What should we do? And they're like, no, you're furloughed too. I was like, what does that mean? And then before he hung up, he goes, you need to get insurance. And I'm like, wait, I have insurance. Did I just get fired? And I'm like, oh shit. So that was a game changer for myself, because I was like, oh man, like here's like this dream job that was paying a lot of money, but now I got what I wanted. I got a lot of free time, but the world was shut down.
Right. Speaking of dreams, put yourself back in your fighting prime. If you could have fought any fighter throughout history in your prime, who would that have been? Could be anybody. It could be Genghis Khan, Zorro, anybody.
Oh man, I don't know. God, there's
Mike Tyson.
No, I don't know.
Jose
Decker?
Aldo. Ramon Decker. Awesome.
That dude was a legend.
Yeah, I've spoke with his brother Carlos a couple times.
No way.
Yeah. Ramon was amazing. All right. What do you hope your legacy in fighting is?
Well, I hope that, people go, hey, that guy put it all out there when he'd fight. It was fun to watch, and the fact that I started Razor Striking System at my gym. It's an affiliate program, and it was all the stuff I saw that was missing when I go to gym. It's structure, it's a coach certification, it's safety, and then people learning footwork and defense before they're in there just trying to smash each other. So hopefully, the level right now. I train a kid now who's 9 years old. The kid competitively does jiu-jitsu, competitively wrestles, and now his striking is Like it's amazing. So
Wow.
the future to me of mixed martial arts is it's pretty awesome. So as much as we love to say, and I think every generation does it, oh man, these kids, this generation is a bunch of pussies. The ones that aren't, dude, the ones that aren't are fucking animals. And so
Hmm.
I'm really excited to watch the mixed martial arts in itself, just the level of competition and technique just go.
Right. All right. I want to ask you some kind of pick one questions. These are goofy questions. I explained them to you before. I like to ask these just because it kind of makes you seem like more of a normal person and not such a scary badass. Uh, what do you prefer, pulled pork or brisket?
Pulled pork.
Alrighty. Toilet paper over or under?
Oh, dude, that's an over. Come on. Sure.
That's what I think too, but it's amazing how many. Not always. All right. Both in their prime, Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson?
Muhammad Ali.
Okay. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Oh man, I love them both. I got a cat though, and he's pretty special, so I'll say cat for now.
Awesome. Okay. Coffee or energy drinks?
God, I'm such a caffeine addict.
Yeah,
I go,
me too, man.
dude. I'm right now just thinking like, what should I drink? I'd probably say coffee.
Okay. Are you one cup in the morning guy or just all day long?
No, all day long, and then I'll start chasing it with like cold brew shots and stuff.
All right. Better movie, Kickboxer or Bloodsport?
Oh man, they're both pretty good. I like Bloodsport. Bloodsport is pretty good.
Every person I've asked that has said Bloodsport.
I remember watching at the movie theater with my buddies in high school, and I was walking down the street, and I was jumping, kicking everything on the way home.
Hell yeah. Uh, who would you have been more likely to defeat, Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris?
Oh man, uh,
Or
Bruce Lee
both?
or both. I'd say both at the same time.
There we go. You're going on vacation. Would you rather go to a ski resort or on a cruise ship?
A ski resort.
Okay,
I've done both though.
awesome. Do you prefer video games, movies, or books?
You know what? Like I watch so many movies, and I realize like I'm super dated now. Like I still quote Anchorman movies. People are like,
Yep.
yeah. I agree to disagree. Um, I like books. It just depends on what it is, but books. People always say, "Don't you do audiobooks?" I'm like, I'm like old school. I want to touch the book and then be
Yeah,
like, put it up on a shelf and be like, yeah, I read that.
yeah. Alrighty. Um, what is something that you really like or enjoy that most people are unaware of?
Oh wow. I love my family. I love being a dad. I don't know, getting up in the morning and making my kids breakfast, stuff like that. Where people would be like, "Really?" I don't know. Maybe they do, and I just don't realize it.
Right. All right,
Fishing,
that's awesome.
fishing too. Like people are like, "You fish?" I'm like, "Yeah."
What
I
kind
learned
of
how to
fishing do you
fish in
do?
Alaska. Oh man, I just went tuna fishing with Hoist Gracie.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty gangster.
Wow.
We went a couple nights. We went over to like San Clemente Island, the end of like September, and then before that, I was in Alaska with my kids. We went fishing. I take my kids every year to go to Alaska to fish, to like learn how I did. Right?
Right. That's awesome. Both my daughters are fishermen. They can both put the worm on the hook, take the fish off. They're good at it.
That's dude. There's something to be said with like learning patience and like the skill of it, and like hey, how like the cycle of life works. Like hey, it's a fish, yeah, but like we need the fish so we can live, so that you know what I mean, and like using all the parts
Mhm.
to it, you know. So to me, right, the patience of sitting there and not sitting on your phone. Right nowadays, I feel
Yeah.
so bad. Kids are stuck to their phone. Their posture's all messed up. Right, they're getting anxiety when they don't have a phone. Like we came from a generation where we didn't have phones, we didn't have instant energy and instant messaging, and
Yep.
now when like you don't have that, like you look at kids and like I feel anxious, and they're like, "What?
Yeah.
Wait till you have to pay
Uh,
bills." I was like, "You're feeling anxious now? Good luck. Good luck when the
I
first."
wouldn't have survived in this age with what kids have. I was 7 years old with a tackle box over the handles of my bicycle with fishing poles up the back of the bicycle, riding across town to a pond to spend the whole day.
That's awesome.
um, let's see here. Name something that without you would have never became world champion.
Something without the desire to be a gym rat. I enjoyed running and going to the gym. Like I just wanted to be like a buff guy because I was a skinny kid. And so if I didn't have that, this whole thing would have not come to life.
Gotcha. All right. As you know, I like to do these interviews to try and reach people who might be struggling with different things. If trained face smashers can talk about their problems and be vulnerable, it makes it easier for the rest of us to ask for help when we're struggling. What is a message you have for someone who might be thinking about giving up or doesn't know where to turn?
Man, I've been in those spots too. You know, like I said, I couch surfed. There was times I was like, all right, does anyone actually love me? Like, why am I doing it? Why did my friends have parents? And to me, you know, you just got to remember you are your own biggest critic and your own biggest sponsor and
Hmm.
supporter too. So you got to remember, it's not, you don't look for it anywhere else, look for it within you. And you are what you think you can do, right?
Hmm.
You set that tone for yourself. You can do anything you put your mind to, right? I tell my kids that all the time, but it really is true. You can do anything you put your mind to. So as long as you keep it positive, like, dude, the world's your oyster. I wrote it in my phone so it comes up every morning, but like when you're optimistic, there's always opportunity. You
Yeah.
know, to me, it's like just staying positive because it's a fucking shitty world out there. And if it's not good up here, it will just stay. You know, that it gets sad real fast. So to me, it's keep it positive, dude. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
Yeah.
If you can,
Exactly.
you know, you can like leave something so they can remember it and they stay positive and happy and put a smile on their face. That, you know, do it.
Uh, I have two more. The first one is, if you see Hoyce again, let him know that you did an interview with a man who respects him so much that his youngest daughter's middle name is Gracie, spelled the same way,
Oh, that's awesome.
because of him. Because of him. Um, the other one would be, what's the best way for fans and friends of you to keep up with you and what you have going on these days?
You're awesome. Hey, when you post this, tag Hoist, the real
Okay.
Hoist. Yeah, dude, he's a homie. He is legit the man. And it's like even on the fishing trip, dude, he's like sat there quiet and then he'd say stuff. Like everybody was sitting there, we're like, oh, the dude's a legend. The dude's a
Hmm.
legend. So super good dudes, great person, like great human too, and obviously a master of martial arts. Tag him in it, dude, and tell him, hey, we did this. He said maybe you'd be interested. Maybe he'll jump on. What was the last one? What'd you say?
Uh, what's the best way for fans and friends
Oh,
of yours to keep up with you?
dude, I use my phone religiously still. I'm glued to it. Like I said, at Razor OB, RAZOROB. So it's Razor OB. That's
Okay.
like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, I'm usually on Instagram. So you wanna? I answer messages too. People are like, "What's up, dude? You'll
You
probably know."
do.
Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, for sure." Yeah, I mean, I'm a regular dude. I'm a dad. It's like to hang out.
Awesome.
I'm a gym rat who got lucky and had a lot of fun working out, and next thing you know, I got paid to do it. So I'm like, cool. Now I want to share it. Like, hey, dude, you guys want to learn how I did it? Cool. Time's money though.
Yeah, I've spoke with so many fighters that have kind of framed it up like they spent the first half of their life doing for themselves, and now the second half of their life is for everyone else. So that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying as well.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what I think martial arts is really about. Is the first part of it is you trying to learn and pick up all this stuff, and then you using it, and then the next is you got to share it, dude. You got to
Yeah,
share it, right? That it will die, and that but it might as well use your body the way it's supposed to be used.
yeah. Learn the way and then show the way. All right, Rob, that's all
Cool,
I
dude.
got for you, man.
You're
I
the
want to
man.
say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, of course. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Um, I'll upload these to YouTube. I'll send them to you as soon as they're done. If for any reason you don't like it, let me know. I'll take it down. And I'm going to be greedy and say, if you talk to Hoist, let him know about me. Feel free
I
to
will.
let him know. That would be an absolute bucket list interview for me. I would probably cry before I hit record.
That's awesome. All right, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one, Rob.
Later, bro.
Peace.